club champion, and you've also got experience with up and coming teams. So I wanted to ask you how you blended the balance between the two and what you bring to a young team like the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have been fortunate to be on, kind of a wide array of teams in terms of, very successful and veteran heavy teams, in terms of call it like a Tampa. And then teams that are, very young and still finding their way, like, Vancouver last year. And while there are similarities between the two, in not necessarily in, average age or anything, but in terms of the type of personnel that you have, there are obviously a lot of differences too, and certainly differences in how certain people with certain age groups tend to, how you got to interact with them. Let's just say that. So, there's in terms of looking back last year at Vancouver, there's a lot of similarities, a lot of parallels that I could see to make to this Utah team. There's some high-end elite talent up front. There's some great defensemen, a really solid goaltender, great goaltender, and a lot of really great support pieces there as well. So I think it's a situation and a team that I'm very, very excited to join, and a team that I, look at and think that, we can make some noise here this year.
Let's go to Jay Stevens with KSL Sports.
Just to kind of follow up on that question, I just want to know what was attractive about Utah that made you want to come in and be a part of this team this year.
Yeah, well, I think that that was part of it. Kind of what I just said, right? I look at the roster, I look at the potential that I think it has, and it's a team that they lost 14 games in a row last year down in Arizona, and even if let's say you go 500 in those 14 games, like you're knocking the door of a playoff spot, or you're at least within reaching one of them. So, it's a team that I view to have a lot of potential. A team that when I play against that team, you kind of think to yourself like, wow, this is actually a really good team, and a team that can be very good in the future. So, it's a team that, like I said, I'm very excited to join a team that I think can take that step from last year to this year.
Let's go with Chase Beardsley.
Hi, Ian. Chase Beardsley from the Hockey Writers. Congrats on your contract with Utah. I want to know, you were speaking about, the attractiveness of this team. I was wondering if you saw any similarities this team and maybe the two teams you were on, 2016, 2017, Pittsburgh Penguins, who won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, there's a lot of great players in this Utah team. There was a lot of great players on that team. I mean, in terms of like bona fide superstars in the, called the prime of their career, with Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, Marc-Andre Fleury. But I think what really kind of separated that team and kind of gave us a boost, was a lot of the young talent that came in and kind of infused their identity and their speed into that lineup with those elite players. So, I'm not going to go out and say that, we have a Sidney Crosby on this team here in Utah. But, I do think that there are a lot of really talented players. And in kind of that same thought process with Pittsburgh, like there needs to be young guys and support players that come in and can kind of support those guys and help kind of fill in that framework around those, very talented elite players. And, I played with Mikhail Sergachev in Tampa, and I mean, he's a heck of a defenseman, and in my mind, he is every bit a number one defenseman, right along with some of the top players in the league. So, seeing him getting that responsibility is definitely something that I'm looking forward to. And then as a fellow defenseman, I want to be able to there to either support him or take certain things off of his plate so he can concentrate on kind of making stuff happen, right? So.
Go to Jake Hatch with the KSL Sports Zone.
Yeah, Ian, I just wanted to ask you, have you ever been to Salt Lake City? What's your familiarity with Utah in general?
I have been to Salt Lake City. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law live there. He's a surgeon over at University of Utah. So we've been there and it's a very exciting family opportunity for me.
I guess just
Sorry.
can I give you a quick follow-up, Jeff? Sorry, I was just going to also ask you, with this being essentially an expansion franchise, I know that the roster's been intact coming over from Arizona. Is there an excitement factor with the expansion notion of this team as well for you?
Not necessarily in the like expansion aspect per se, but I think the idea of, you know, being on a team that's in a city for the first time and kind of getting to experience that will be very fun. It'll be a very interesting and I think fun experience, especially one that, you know, very clearly in Utah has been, you know, seemingly embraced it with open arms, embraced this team. When I was on the phone with some of the guys in the front office after the signing, they were saying there's like 12,000 people coming to like the development scrimmage, right? So, I mean, if nothing else, it's you know, seemingly a very rabid fan base that is looking to embrace this team with open arms, and it's really hard to not be excited for a situation like that.
Let's go back to Pat Brown.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Ian, just a quick follow-up. I know you mentioned that you've played with Sergachev. I was curious if you were familiar with anyone else on the Utah roster, and also curious if you heard much about Andre Tourigny's coaching style and playing for him.
You know, I have not heard much about his coaching style. I don't know much about him. He sent me a nice text the other day after I signed. So he seems like a very nice guy. Looking forward to meeting him and getting to know him. In terms of who I have played with, you know, mentioned Sergachev, and then I played with Nick Bukestad in Minnesota, and then I played with Alex Kerfoot in Colorado. So a couple familiar guys there, and then have some mutual friends on the team as well. I know a guy I played with last year, Connor Garland, is best buddies with Clayton Keller. So there's some mutual familiarity there as well. But like I said, it seems like a great group and a group that's, you know, the core's kind of been together here for a couple of years down at AZ. So,
Jay?
Thanks.
All right. With being such a unique market and a brand new market, did you get a chance to reach out to like Kevin Deeth, who's played here before, and get his sense on the vibe of Utah?
you know, I not sense that I've been a part of it. I haven't, but I actually did hear stories about Utah from when he did play here. So call it 10 years, 15 years ago. You know, he was telling stories. Yeah, all honestly, all really, really quite good. You know, it was a place that he, you know, said is, you know, they're crazy about their sports. They love their sports. They love supporting their teams. And you know, like I mentioned earlier, it's something that seems to very much be the case.
Chase?
Kind of going off that question, was there anyone you reached out to or reached out to you, kind of welcoming you to Utah or kind of urging you to go sign with Utah?
Well, you know, there's, like I said, mentioned the family connections there, but also too, it's you know, no, not really. It didn't. I didn't need a ton of convincing. It wasn't something that I needed to. You know, I need to get told how great it is, or it's something that I could view from the outside and see the team and see the city and see the potential and just be really excited for it. Maybe I make that up in my head. I don't know. So I guess we'll see as we go. But it's something that's just looking at it. It looks like a super exciting opportunity, and like I said, one that I'm very, very excited for.
Do you have any more questions for Ian? All right, Ian. Well, we appreciate your time and congratulations again on the deal. We are looking forward to having you in Utah here soon.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Thank you.